Hi, I'm excited. It's my first video with my background. I finally got it done. I just kind of took my time and found stuff on the internet that I like, and you got all this stuff that I've had for a while, and then of course we found like some posters and stuff. Can you tell I like zombies? I like zombie stuff. And then on this side you got crafting stuff on one side, and then you got some of my favorite books, and you got some of my favorite movies that are the same as books that I've read, you know what I mean. And ignore the dryer and clothes. We live in a trailer, so you put stuff where you can. Okay, so my September wrap up. I feel like it's a little bit later than what I usually like to do it, but like if you've seen my other videos, you know I had my grandbaby for a good while because my daughter was recovering from surgery, and just it's fall time, so I don't know. Anyway, so I listened to My Lady Jane by Cynthia, Jodi Meadows, and Brodi Ashton on audiobook. It was performed by Catherine Kellner. It's a youth fantasy retelling of Jane Grey, and I gave it 3 stars. It was pretty funny for the most part, but I just kind of lost interest after a while. Most of the time when I was either reading or listening to the books, I would have to like read a little bit and then stop because my grandbaby would wake up or you know something like that, so it was kind of in pieces. So I only gave it 3 stars. I feel like I probably would have liked it better if I would have just got to sit and read the whole book. Another book that I read was The Institute by Stephen King. It's a horror. I really enjoyed that book. I gave it 5 stars. Every time I see candy cigarettes now, I'm going to think about that book. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. The trigger warnings is kidnapping, child abuse, torturing, and experimenting on kids, because that's what the book is about. It's about these kids are in the Institute is what it's called. And it's not really the government or anything like that, I don't think. It's just these people experimenting on these kids because they have telepathy and telekinesis and stuff like that. It actually made me want to go and read Firestarter by Stephen King. I haven't read that one either, but I think it's kind of the same thing, because I've seen the movie Firestarter, and you know she's in this place where they're testing her and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I kind of got attached to several of the kids while I was reading it, so it really grabbed me. It's a really good book. Another one I read was Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Powers. I only gave it 2 stars. It was a horror mystery. Marge is a 17-year-old girl. She like threw fits and she gets mad and makes her mom cry because the mom won't talk about her twin who died before Margot was even born. So it was kind of annoying in a way, because you got a 17-year-old girl that's acting selfish and throwing fits because her mom doesn't want to talk about something that hurts her emotionally, you know. It was okay. Other than that, it wasn't the best. I think I said I gave it 2 stars. It would be a good one to read in October though, because it had this kind of creepy vibe. Okay, I got around to reading The Seep by Chana Porter. It's a sci-fi fantasy. I gave it 3 stars. An alien life form that got into the water supply and then into people to form a utopian world by using people as hosts to make the world a better place. I keep looking now because I'm reading my notes like I always do. If I don't take notes, I'll forget little things that I feel that are important that I want to talk about in the video, and then later on I'll think about it and I'll be like, oh, I forgot to mention that. So, the Seep can give a person body modifications such as angel wings, hooves, cat tongue, and claws, and one of the characters in there, well, the main character, her girlfriend, no, I think it was her wife, her partner, decided to be put back to baby form, which the Seep can do. The main character's name was Trina. Her wife's name was Deba, I think, and Deba decided to go back to baby form and basically be reborn in a way. It was pretty good. I don't think it was as good as I thought it would be, but it was good because it was different. You know, it's not something that you read about all the time. Okay, I read 2 cookbooks. The first one, well, I didn't read 2 cookbooks. I flipped through them. The first one is The Unofficial Recipes of the Hunger Games. That's why I read it. It's by Rockridge University Press. I gave it 4 stars. I know usually people don't rate cookbooks and stuff, but it had 187 recipes inspired by all 3 of the Hunger Games books. This was done before they came out with Snakes and Songbirds, or whatever it's called, the new Hunger Games. So some of the things I'll never use, like baked badger, and some I would like to try. Like, I've seen it in several places. People actually used to do it. Some people probably still do it. Dandelion salad. And that's something I've always been curious about, and I just never tried it. It's got some in there that I screenshotted and that I would like to try eventually someday. Okay, my Stephanie Plum series by Janet Evanovich. I only read 3 this month on audiobook. I read 11 on Top, 12 Sharp, and Lean Mean 13. Of course, all 3 of them got 5 stars. I'm not even going to go into that because y'all have heard me talk about it before. Love the series. Yeah. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. It's a youth fantasy. Gave it 5 stars. I fell in love with that book. It was so cute. All the characters were just cute. And if anybody ever made a movie out of it, I think it would be one of my favorites. It was just, I want to see a movie about it. There was a variety of supernaturals. There was a Selkie, a witch, a siren, a banshee, a gnome, a sprite, a wyvern, a green blob. He was one of my favorite characters. A Ware Pomeranian, and the Antichrist. Those are most of the ones that were mentioned, or the characters, you know. Linus is a social worker at the department in charge of magical youth. Instead of... he's like a social worker like we know, except he's in charge of going and checking on foster homes where supernatural kids are, and to make sure they're okay, and to make sure they're being taken care of, and all that sort of thing. And he gets this assignment. Instead of just going to check on this house, he's supposed to go stay for a whole month and make sure that these kids are okay, because they're very, very special kids, more than usual. Because you have there's one that was abused because he was supernatural, and then you have like the Antichrist, and just different, these kids have had different issues, you know what I mean? So they want to be sure that they're okay, because they are more special than usual. But it's just the little kids, the characters, like the little gnome, she was so cute. I loved her so much. I wish so much that somebody would make a movie out of it. But if you have not read this book, read it. It's really cute. Okay, I read The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This is one that I've been wanting to read for a while, and I finally got around to reading it. It's a mystery thriller. I only gave it 4 stars. It was a really good book, but I don't know if I missed something at the end or what, but they just left things open, and I can't say what because then I would give away the ending, obviously, but they left open what happened to some of the characters, at least one of the characters, and I don't know, maybe I just missed something, and I don't like that. I don't like wondering what happened, what the ending was, you know what I mean? So The story's about this woman, Rowan, I had to think of her name. This young woman, Rowan, she answers an ad to go and be a nanny at this estate, which is a smart house. Everything is computerized, everything is done on your phone or whatever. So it's telling Rowan's story of her time at this house taking care of these kids through the letters and flashbacks that she's having. The kids that she's taking care of, there's Petra, who is 1.5, Ellie is 5, sure they're 5 or 6, and Maddie is 8 years old. They're all girls. And then there's a Rhiannon, which was a 14-year-old teenager, but most of the book she was away at boarding school. So she was taking care of 1.5-year-old, 5-year-old, and 8-year-old. And the parents, like right after she started working there, the parents both got called away for work. So she was there with these kids by herself. There was like the handyman. He had his own apartment over the garage, but you know, it was in the house. And then they had a maid that came once a day and did dishes and stuff, and then she left. So she was pretty much by herself with these kids. And a tragedy happens, and she gets blamed for it. So the book is about her flashing back and telling this lawyer her story. And it was pretty good, but I only gave it 4 stars because of the ending, leaving stuff open, questions, you know. Okay, the other cookbook I read is the Unofficial Harry Potter Cookbook by Dinah Bucholz. I don't know, I'll put the picture up there so you can see how to spell the last name, because I have no idea how to say that. I gave it 4 stars. It's British recipes, so I like that because it's different flavors than what we have here, like different ways to fix things. I always love trying different cultures, foods, or different countries because we use different spices and flavors. It's interesting. And most of the recipes are from the Hogwarts kitchen and from Miss Weasley. Miss Weasley is my favorite character. I love her so much. But yeah, they had a lot of good recipes. Of course, a lot of them were sweets. Like, I don't think they even had butterbeer in there, which surprised me, because a lot of people want to know how to make that. But anyway, they had a lot of good recipes. And it was actual recipes that you see in the movies and read about in the books that they had, like at Hogwarts for Halloween and stuff. Okay, the next one is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. It's a mystery, thriller, horror. I gave it 4 stars, but it was really good. I really enjoyed reading it. It's fried green tomatoes style thriller set in the 90s, because it's housewives, and they had this book club, and they get tangled up with this guy that moves in right down the street from one of them. Oh, it's the same author that wrote the book My Best Friend's Exorcism, and the author wrote it in the same neighborhood that book took place. I have not read that book, but it says that in this book, that it was the same neighborhood. I think it said it was also the same neighborhood that she grew up in, is what she based it off of, but I'm not sure. Oh, I have to warn you about this, and it's not really spoiler, but it's okay anyway. So about 3/4 of the way through the book, when the character is hiding in the attic, just beware that there's a very gross scene. It involves a bug and an ear. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to give any more away, but it grossed me out so bad. I still, very, very gross and very creepy. So if that bothers you when she's hiding in the attic, just try to skim and skip that one part. This is the reason I will never read The Troop by, I think it's by Nick Cutter, is because everybody says it's like creepy crawly skin stuff. Nope. Nope. Not going there. Not doing it. Okay. And okay, the last book that I read is this one. Put it on this side. It's The Woods by Harlan Coben. And it's a mystery thriller. The main character's name is Paul. He's a lawyer. I ended up DNFing this book. I got tired of even trying, so I just skipped. I didn't even get halfway through it, and I just skipped to the end to see who did what, you know. The main character, Paul, is a lawyer, and there's a side story of a case that he's working on that, from what I did read of it, had nothing whatsoever to do with the main story of this book. To me, it was, and I might be wrong because I didn't read the whole book, but to me, it was a filler to make the book longer. Was not necessary, unless it tied somehow later, but I don't see how it could have. I don't get it. So that was one of the main reasons I DNF'd it, because half of what I read was inside the court going through this trial of this case that he's working on. And I don't like lawyer stuff. I don't like court stuff. It's just boring to me, so I just don't like it. It's been 20 years since the incident in the woods. 20 years ago, Paul was a junior counselor at this camp. And I think he was 18, and his sister was 16. 4 kids that went into the woods. 2 girls, 2 boys. One of the girls was his sister. And this is not a spoiler because it's in the synopsis and all that stuff. So there was 1 boy and 1 girl. They found their dead body, and then his sister and the other boy just disappeared. And then 20 years later, the boy shows back up, but then they find him murdered. So he's trying to figure out, does that mean that his sister's still alive, or does that mean that this guy did it? Or because 20 years ago there was one of the other counselors at the camp was arrested for all of it. So now Paul is like confused by all of these things that are happening. Oh, and another thing I didn't like was there was no skips, point of views, because it would go back and forth between him and just his girlfriend at the time that all this happened. They had to get back in touch because of all these things that started happening 20 years ago, so it would go back and forth between his point of view and her point of view sometimes. And when it would do that, I marked it. Let's see if I can show you. See right there, that one little space? All of this up here is his point of view, and then it goes straight over to her point of view. There's no space. You know what I mean? So you just keep reading, and if you don't notice that little tiny space, then you're really confused, because it's a whole different person's point of view in a whole different location, and you know what I mean? So I had too many issues with this book. I just really didn't enjoy it. So I just kept skipping and got no. But that's all the books that I had time to read. I was surprised I had to read that many, but on the days that Rosie wasn't here, I tried to like read as much as I could. So, but yeah, that's all I had for this month, and I got some really good. I'm reading The Shining by Stephen King right now, so yeah. So yeah, but I'll see you in the next video.